Okay, let's unpack this. We all feel it, don't we? That kind of undeniable pull of busyness, the constant demands, maybe even a quiet sense that something important is.
Yeah.
Well, missing clarity, direction, maybe true peace.
Yeah, it can feel like finding that kind of inner calm, that deep sense of purpose.
Yeah.
That's something reserved for a life totally removed from ours,
Yeah.
like monks in solitude.
Exactly. But what's really fascinating about the sources we're diving into today is how they argue the exact opposite.
Right. These ancient perspectives, this wisdom distilled over centuries, it feels incredibly urgent, actually. Very relevant to the information overload, the anxiety, the search for meaning that so many of us feel right now.
Mm-hmm. And we've got these rich excerpts, material drawing from concepts like think like a monk
Yeah.
and that powerful fable of the monk who sold his Ferrari.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah. So this deep dive, it isn't about convincing you to change your whole life overnight or, trade your car for a robe.
Definitely not. It's more about tapping into that core monk wisdom that's hidden in these sources. Can we find practical, applicable keys, things to unlock greater clarity, maybe cultivate a deeper sense of purpose?
And, yes, find genuine inner peace right here in the middle of our busy lives.
So our mission really is to guide you through this material. We'll pull out the most important nuggets, distill the insights.
Kind of offer a shortcut, maybe, to understanding how these timeless concepts could actually impact your life.
Exactly, a shortcut to the potential.
So where do we even begin this journey? These sources seem pretty clear. The starting point is always within.
Always, it's about understanding and crucially working with your inner world, specifically your mind.
And one of the most striking analogies they present is treating your mind like a garden.
Oh, it's such a vivid metaphor, isn't it? Imagine your mind is this plot of fertile ground. What are you actually planting there?
Right.
The sources are quite blunt too often. We plant weeds. Or worse, like toxic waste. Endless worries, anxieties we create ourselves. Fears that just consume us.
And that's not just passive thinking, is it? It actually does something.
It does. This internal weeding, or lack thereof, it drains our vital energy. One source uses this really powerful image. It links the worrying character to a funeral pyre.
Wow, a funeral pyre.
Yeah, suggesting this kind of fretting doesn't just waste time, it actually injures something fundamental inside us, the soul, even.
Okay, so that really underscores the damage. Worrying isn't just inefficient.
It's harmful. The profound insight here is that your mind isn't just passively receiving thoughts. It's a garden you actively cultivate. The goal: replace those weeds with positive, inspiring, life-affirming thoughts.
So thoughts are living things.
Like how they're described, vital, living things, like little bundles of energy. So therefore, the quality of the plants you choose to nurture in your mind's garden, well, that directly determines the quality of your entire life.
You're the gardener.
You are the gardener of your own mind, and you have the power, the choice about what grows there. That's the core takeaway.
And speaking of cultivating the mind, these sources offer other ways to sort of understand this inner landscape, right? It's not just the garden.
That's right. Different lenses, you could say. Another perspective is seeing the mind like clouds passing the sun.
Clouds passing the sun.
Okay. The clouds are your thoughts, feelings, distractions. They're temporary, they come and go. But the sun, your true self, your core awareness, that's always there, unchanging, constant, behind them.
So you are not your thoughts.
Exactly. You're the sun, not the clouds just passing by. Then there's this other idea, seeing the mind like a parent and child relationship, or even a charioteer guiding horses.
Like different parts interacting.
Precisely. These visualizations help you see the mind as something sort of separate, something you can work with, nurture, and train. It really underscores that self-control, mastering this inner relationship, is maybe the greatest power you can develop.
It's about focus then. Learning to direct your mental energy.
Yes, regardless of all the distractions trying to pull you off course, learning to steer the chariot, basically.
And for those times when the mind feels totally out of control, like that image of a wild monkey swinging everywhere, there's a practical tip, isn't there?
Yes, a simple, powerful, ancient practice, actually. When your thoughts are just racing, overwhelming you, just dedicate 15 minutes, sit down and write them all out.
Just dump them onto the page.
Stream of consciousness style. Don't filter, don't judge, just get them out, externalize them. This process itself can help slow that frantic energy down.
It creates distance.
Exactly. It helps you interrupt that cycle of unproductive thinking. It's like you're quieting the monkey mind simply by observing its antics on paper.
It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? From being thrown around by thoughts to actually choosing where your focus goes.
That's the goal.
But let's be honest, choosing positive thoughts or taming a racing mind,
Mhm.
it isn't always easy. It often means facing one of our biggest internal hurdles, fear.
Exactly. And this is where I think it gets really interesting. These sources dive deep into the nature of fear and how we automatically react to it. They outline 4 common ways, often pretty unproductive ways, we typically respond. We panic,
Yep.
we freeze,
Uh-huh.
we run away, or we just bury it, pretend it's not there.
Those definitely feel familiar. But if they're common, why are they unproductive? What's wrong with them?
Well, they might give you a quick sense of relief or maybe protection in the moment,
Sure.
but ultimately these strategies distract you from actually using the energy that fear generates. Fear itself isn't necessarily the problem, it's our untrained reaction to it.
Okay, so the insight is,
Changing your relationship with fear starts by just noticing, observing and recognizing your pattern. Which of those 4 do you tend to default to? Awareness first.
I see your own habit. And tracing those fears back. What do the sources say they're usually rooted in? What's underneath?
Deep down, the wisdom suggests a lot of fear stems from attachment.
Attachment.
Eh.
That's stuff. Possessions.
Well, yes, but not just physical possessions. It's also attachment to ideas. Ideas about ourselves, our identity, our status, our plans, our relationships.
Oh,
We cling so tightly, to how we think things should be or who we think we are. So the potential loss or change of these, temporary things becomes a source of huge pain and fear.
so the powerful counter idea then is what?
Yeah.
That everything is borrowed.
Precisely. That might be one of the most liberating concepts in all this material. When you truly absorb the idea, the truth, that everything in this physical changing world is impermanent.
Everything.
Your job, your health, your relationships, even the ideas you hold about yourself,
Yeah.
you start to loosen the grip of that attachment.
Like the attorney example in the source.
Mm-hmm.
Fearing career change because it meant losing status.
Exactly. He was attached to an idea of himself. Accepting this everything is borrowed concept, it can transform fear. It doesn't maybe make it vanish, but it stops being this paralyzing force that controls you. It creates space, freedom, really.
And facing that fear, that attachment, that often requires building up some inner strength, doesn't it? Which brings us to discipline and what do they call them? Austerities.
Yes, exactly. Discipline is presented not as some kind of punishment, but as a key element in actually living your values. It's about aligning your actions with your real intentions.
Making your walk match your talk.
Pretty much. The sources use strong language here, even suggesting a lack of willpower is like a mental disease, meaning it's a condition that stops you from doing what you actually intend to do, like getting up early to work on a goal you care about.
Okay. And austerities, that sounds tough. Like hardship.
Well, they are challenging, but they aren't about suffering pointlessly. They're described more like a detachment boot camp, or maybe a training camp for the mind.
Training camp, how so?
They're intentional challenges you take on, maybe giving up TV for a week, or social media, or gossip, or even physical discomfort, like meditating in the cold or fasting for a short period. The point is to explore your limits.
And disconnect from things you depend on too much.
Exactly. Disconnect from limiting ideas or dependencies. It's not just self-denial for its own sake. The purpose is actually quite profound.
Which is,
Opening your mind to new possibilities. Strengthening your intellect's ability to override impulses. Learning to tolerate physical or social discomfort so you can focus your energy on what's truly important.
like pushing through discomfort at the gym because you value health.
Precisely. It's the same principle. Austerities are about intentionally choosing a challenge to build mental resilience against the unintentional difficulties life inevitably throws at you. It prepares you to stay focused on your purpose, even when things get hard.
Okay, that makes sense. So, beyond cultivating the inner world and building strength to face fear, these sources guide us toward something bigger. Finding our true purpose, our dharma.
Yes, Dharma. In this context, it's really about understanding your unique nature, your inherent way of being, and then fulfilling that in the world.
So, in the monk tradition they describe, the asceticism, the service,
Yeah.
those weren't the end goals.
No, they were the means. Means to open the mind, to discover and then live this purpose, this Dharma. It connects to the idea that all activities, like organs in a body, have their own essential function and are equally important.
And the scorpion story illustrates this.
Beautifully. The monk keeps trying to save the drowning scorpion even though it keeps stinging him. Someone asks why he bothers.
And he says,
It is my nature to save, and it is his nature to sting. The insight is that your dharma is your true nature. You fulfill it not based on external reactions or rewards, but because it's intrinsically who you are meant to be.
But how do you even figure out what that unique nature, that dharma, is for you personally in the modern world?
Well, it's presented as a process of discovery, guided by looking at what you're naturally good at and what genuinely ignites your passion, your energy.
Like the example of the author,
Yeah.
struggling with farm chores but finding teaching effortless.
Exactly. That
Yeah.
contrast highlights it. The sources also mention this idea of varnas like guide, leader, creator, maker, not as rigid social castes, obviously, but as archetypes.
Tools for self-understanding.
Yes. Reflecting on which archetype resonates can help you identify your innate strengths, your inclinations. It clarifies where your energy is best directed and maybe how you can connect with others who complement your talents.
And it's not enough to just think about it, right?
Yeah.
You have to actually test it out, try it on.
Crucially, yes, you have to test drive your potential dharma. Through real-world exploration, experimentation, the sources encourage you to reflect on how you spend your time almost like you'd rate food.
What energizes you, what drains you.
Exactly. What feels aligned, what feels like effort, but in a bad way. This needs conscious awareness, evaluation. And the ultimate message is really empowering. Living your dharma. That's your responsibility.
I can't wait for permission.
You cannot wait for someone else, a boss, a friend, society to recognize it or validate it for you. You have to proactively set up your life to express it.
Okay, and living that purpose.
Yeah.
It often involves setting goals, doesn't it? But maybe not just the usual kind.
Absolutely. Happiness, according to this wisdom, isn't just some fleeting feeling. It comes through the progressive realization of a worthy objective.
A worthy objective.
And the sages, they didn't just limit their goals to material things. They set concrete objectives for their mental world, their physical world, and their spiritual development.
Like aiming for peace of mind?
Leap.
Or
Yeah.
more energy? Or love?
Exactly. Tangible goals in those inner realms. And writing down these life aims is seen as a powerful act in itself. It sets your intention, aligns these natural forces they talk about.
And there are steps for achieving goals.
Yes. 5 steps outlined for any goal. Have a clear vision, create positive pressure like telling people, attach pleasure to achieving it, and maybe some discomfort to not achieving it. Develop a concrete plan. And importantly, learn to enjoy the process.
Not just the finish line.
Right. Enjoy the journey along the way. Tools like keeping a dream book can help make these aims feel more real, more tangible.
So, if finding and living your dharma is the path, what does this wisdom suggest is the ultimate destination? The highest sort of worthy objective?
Well, the sources consistently point towards service, serving others.
Service is the ultimate purpose.
Yes. Actively working to improve the lives of others. It inherently elevates your own existence. It's about cultivating the sanctity, the sacredness of each day by infusing it with service.
The story of Sintutai Sapkal, the mother of orphans, that fits here.
Perfectly. A powerful illustration. She served not because she had tons of material wealth to give away,
Right.
but because she saw suffering and responded from this deep place of compassion, seeing the need. And the sources note, interestingly, that often people with less money actually give more, proportionately.
That challenges assumptions, doesn't it?
It really does. And service isn't presented as selfish just because it brings you joy or benefits others too. The beauty is precisely in that mutual exchange, like the father taking his sons on a retreat.
He wasn't just teaching them gratitude.
He was also deepening their own connection by serving together. It's about adopting a service mindset in your daily life, asking yourself throughout the day, how does this activity serve a broader purpose? How am I serving the people around me right now with my presence, my skills, my knowledge? What do I know? What can I do that's actually of use?
So it's practical. Look for opportunities where you are.
Yes. Look for simple opportunities to serve wherever you already spend your time. It doesn't have to be some grand gesture.
So it's really not about leaving your life behind for a monastery wall, is it? It's about weaving these principles into your daily existence.
Exactly.
And that includes how we connect with other people and how we experience life itself moment by moment.
Precisely. This monk wisdom isn't solely an individual thing. It profoundly impacts our relationships and our actual lived experience. Gratitude, for instance.
Ah, yes. Gratitude comes up a lot.
It's highlighted as the mother of all qualities. It nurtures compassion, resilience, healthy connections. There's even a visualization practice mentioned. Imagine showering people with gratitude. Powerful idea.
And how we see people.
Another key insight. Learning to see each person you meet as a world to explore. Actively resisting that urge to slap a label on them or judge them immediately.
Instead, look for the meaning within them.
Yes, look for their unique world, their unique meaning. That really challenges our automatic habit of categorizing people, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And when it comes to building trust in relationships, the sources offer some kind of framework.
They do. While it's not laid out in exhaustive detail in the excerpts we have, the concept of the four C's is mentioned: character, compatibility, chemistry, and commitment, suggesting qualities to look for, perhaps.
Okay. And a pyramid of trust.
Yes, that visual implies it's built layer by layer, carefully. And there's a crucial caution included, too. Don't just promote people into your inner circle without clear reason, and importantly, don't assume others see the world exactly like you do. That classic line, "We see things as we are, not as they are."
That's a big one. And thinking about romantic relationships, we often focus first on attraction, right? Looks, success.
Which the sources acknowledge, sure, looks, success, intellect, those things attract. But they strongly emphasize that what truly sustains relationships is that deeper emotional and spiritual connection.
And they suggest focusing on energy, not just time.
Yes, a powerful reframe. Focus on energy management in relationships, not just time management. It's not about how long you spend with someone.
But how deep you go, the quality of presence.
Exactly, the quality of presence you bring to that interaction. And giving and receiving are vital here. Embodied in this idea of 6 loving exchanges, things like giving and receiving gifts, confidential talks, eating together, checking in on welfare, all rooted in generosity, gratitude, and service.
So finding the right relationship starts with knowing yourself.
Deep self-knowledge is key, understanding what you genuinely need and what you authentically offer. There's a Thich Nhat Hanh quote mentioned about how sometimes you find yourself most clearly in the middle of heartbreak, learning who you are for future connections.
And keeping love alive, it's not about recreating the past.
No, definitely not trying to recapture the honeymoon phase forever. It's about continually creating new shared memories and experiences, growing together right now in the present.
Which brings us to maybe the most powerful way to connect with others, with ourselves, with life itself, being fully present.
Living in the now. It's presented as the absolute essence of all genuine spiritual teaching. Father Richard Rohr is quoted on this.
The path of diamonds virtue.
Yes, that states it clearly. The past is gone, like water under the bridge. The future. A distant sun, uncertain. The most important moment you will ever have is this one. Right now.
Learning to savor moments fully, not rushing through.
Exactly. Think of that poignant example, the father missing his children's childhood because he was always mentally somewhere else. Or the story of Peter, so focused on the future, he missed the gift of living that was available every single day.
We miss so much beauty that way.
We do. The sources urge us to find the exquisite wonders in the simplest of things. Remember that Joshua Bell subway experiment. World-class violinist playing, and people just rushed past because they weren't truly present to notice the beauty right in front of them.
So how do we cultivate that presence, especially when life feels so busy?
Through mindfulness practices. One is called Same Old, Same New. It encourages finding novelty, finding wonder in your routine acts.
Like your commute or a conversation?
Yes, noticing new details on your commute. Truly listening in a familiar conversation, observing your surroundings at the grocery store instead of being on autopilot. Even simple acts, like mindfully sipping a glass of water, can become anchors to the present moment.
And the story about the salt in the lake, how does that relate?
That's a beautiful metaphor for how presence changes our experience of pain. Pain might be constant, like the handful of salt. But if you put it in a small cup, the water is very bitter. If you put the same salt in a vast lake,
You barely taste it.
Exactly. By expanding your perspective, your awareness, by becoming like the lake through mindful presence and acceptance, the bitterness of that pain becomes less overwhelming. It dissolves into the larger context of your awareness.
That's powerful. And the sources also detail specific rituals to support this.
Yes, several powerful rituals to help cultivate this inner richness and presence. There's the ritual of solitude, intentionally creating quiet time, like a pit stop for the soul. The ritual of abundant knowledge, nourishing your mind, being a lifelong student through reading and learning.
Daily reflection too.
The ritual daily reflection, yes. Taking time to think deeply, learn from your experiences like Ben Franklin or Yogi Raman did. The ritual of physicality, caring for your body as a sacred vessel, your temple, and the ritual of simplicity.
Simplifying life. Decluttering.
Intentionally decluttering your life, yes. Creating space so you can actually savor moments rather than constantly putting off living for some point in the future that might never come.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive, it's really taken us through cultivating our inner landscape, facing fears with discipline, finding purpose, connecting deeply through service and presence.
It all seems to circle back, doesn't it? Back to this profound idea that we actually have agency in how we experience life. It starts with training our minds and focusing our intentions.
It truly does.
Yeah.
Making conscious, intentional choices about how we think, feel, and act,
Yeah.
drawing strength and wisdom from these timeless principles, but adapting them for our modern lives.
So as we wrap up this exploration, maybe here's a thought to carry with you. If the quality of your thinking truly determines the quality of your life, and the most important moment is always this one, right now,
Hmm.
are you choosing to cultivate the garden of your mind now? Or are you kind of waiting for some magical garden to just appear on a distant horizon?
That's a powerful question to sit with.
Indeed. So maybe take a quiet moment now. Perhaps just 30 seconds or so, just to reflect on this deep dive. What was one idea, maybe one phrase or one practice that really resonated with you? Don't overthink it, just let something surface.
Okay.
And then think about just one small practical step you could take today, maybe this week, to bring that insight into your actual life. Maybe it's simply pausing, taking one mindful breath before you react next time,
Or writing down one worry.
or writing down a single worrying thought, or looking for one small way to be of service to someone near you, or maybe just intentionally noticing something new on your usual walk, just one small step.
Offered with kindness to yourself.
Yes, offered with kindness to yourself, taken at your own pace, in your own time. There really is immense potential within you to cultivate that inner peace, that sense of purpose, starting exactly where you are right now.